Human! Who let the human in this presentation? Human, what's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel. I talk like Daniel. I sound like human now, right? Yeah, this funny. The rest of us zombies, we're gonna pick on Daniel and decide if he can live through this presentation. Keep an eye on Daniel for me. Okay, so we have a new secret weapon, but Daniel, you, as a representative of the humans, we're going to give you a taste of what's coming and see how this instills fear in humans. The new weapon is JSR 310. This is how we're going to attack the humans en masse. And we have some zombie researchers who are helping us out. Anybody recognize our zombie researchers? Yeah, these guys? They're very smart zombies, our zombie scientists. Very slow, but very smart. And they have built an API that we can use to conquer the humans. It's a modern API. It lets us type slowly, but accomplish great things with our Java 8 code. Fewer characters, even you can't keep up because you have to type way too much. Yeah, scared, he's scared. It's thread safe. So we're not going to get in deadlocks with armed humans when we get slowed down and our threads get blocked. And we have ways to simply handle our time zones so we can coordinate our attacks across the world. Hit them while they're sleeping. So, you're scared now, right? Yes. Well, not really. All right, I don't know if we should let this guy live. This is not working. So, we've had failures in the past, but we are going to try to fix these catastrophic failures. And we're going to hit them while they're celebrating. What's wrong with this?
It's deprecated.
For good reason, it's deprecated. So, somebody said 2013. That is a problem. That is not zero-based. So, slight issue. This is in the year 3913. Zombies are advanced. Still bloody, but advanced. What else is wrong with this guy? Yes, very good. It's not only does it not exist, because it's also zero-based, the year is wrong too. No error. We just, one off on the year. and it's the wrong month. So we are going to try not to repeat the great failed zombie invasion of January 25th, 3914, where unfortunately they still use escalators. So to train us zombies to fight back against the humans, what we've done is we've put together a special training program. And through this, all of us zombies in the room will become proficient in the JSR 310 APIs so we can coordinate attacks against the humans. All right, so we got this little app, ZombieTime. That is not large enough. I bet presenter fonts work better. Ah, they work better in some panes, not others. All right, so somebody told me I should be using Eclipse. Very, very astute.
There is a presentation mode.
Yes, and somebody else pointed out that there's a presentation mode, and that is also very astute. And the first person who figures out which magical key combination I do to zoom in without using either of those is the winner, because it's only this one file.
Let's look at that one.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll get back to that one. Okay, so basically, very simple application. It has a JavaFX user interface for our zombie, who unfortunately we lost. Yeah, we're dead. Zombies don't like sunlight. And zombies are very, very slow. So reading that date in that format at that speed, I think we will all die from sunlight exposure before we finish reading that entire string. So we have multiple issues with our zombie trainer, but we can fix these by using the date and time APIs. Okay, so first some basic concepts on the date and time APIs. So local date, local time, and local date time all represent kind of calendars, times, or both. Local date time merges the two concepts together. I think in the slides I was using local time, but some of the code uses local date time. So you might notice a slight discrepancy. Instants are just a single point in time since the epoch, so this is the thing most close to getting like, number of milliseconds, system date time milliseconds. Period is a good way of getting a span between two different dates. It works very well with local date times, but durations are a precise span of time, like this exact clock difference between two times. So that equates more to how instants are used. So in the presentation, we'll primarily be using local date, local time, and local date time, because we're going to be doing a lot of date arithmetic to try to get the right time zones and things correct for our little simulator. And there's a bunch of ways you can get a local date time instance. So you can say now, and that'll get you the current time. There's a bunch of static local date.of, so you can give it actual years, months, without using numbers which are zero-based or have weird references. In general, it's recommended to use the constants to make the code more readable, rather than putting in numerics, which are still supported. And also you can use the new feature in Java 7 to use underscores in your numbers as well to separate them out. But those are ignored by the compiler. You can parse from a string. So if you have a string, you can parse that into a date object or a local date object. And you can convert from the old classes. So if you have an old date or an old calendar, you can convert those to a date time, a local date, or an instance, as the case may be. And of course, convert back the other way. In most cases, though, you'd prefer to use the new APIs and only work with dates if you have old code, which is using those previously. Okay, so we're going to introduce our pixelated clock, which you just saw on screen. And this is just going to increment every millisecond, show the display on the screen using the current local time. And as you saw when we were just running it, it shows a fairly long string that we'd like to make more intelligible. This is the local time string. The one I had up is the local date time, which has the additional time zone and date. So we have some options to format dates and times. So we can do a basic ISO date, which I believe is what was up before, or something close to that. ISO date time, the third one. ISO time, ISO week time, those are all constants you can use. They have a concept of localized formatters for like short, medium, long dates. And this is useful when you're dealing with different locales, because it'll choose an appropriate time format for the locale, but in different sizes, based upon how much specificity you want of the date time. And you, of course, can specify your own string, just like you would have with a date formatter on the old APIs. So this DMMMUUU would give you the 25th of December 2014. And unlike the old date formatters, these are actually thread safe. So you don't have to do silly things like trying to create a thread local for your formatter. You have a question?
No, it was just a yay.
Yay! Finally, somebody has corrected the ills of 20 years of really poor design, which I guess we can't really fault the initial creators, but we will. Okay, so our new version will use a formatter using the short format to give us something more readable and more zombie-friendly, so we don't spend the whole presentation trying to read unwieldy, long, full dates. Okay, so we will see if we cannot get the file open with a reasonable font size. Ah, it reopened at a nice font size. At a humongous font size. Can you folks in the back see the text on screen? But not very much of it. Okay. We will back off slightly. Maybe. Okay. Is that still legible in the back? Yes. Okay. So our pixelated clock class is what we're going to make some of the changes in. So currently we're just doing date.toString, which does the full ISO date by default, ISO date time. And we're going to instead use this clock format, which does a date time format of localized date time, and then uses a short format style. All right, let's try a zombie. Does one of our zombies in the audience want to try reading our date and time? All right, take a shot, Mr. Zombie.
The 3rd of February.
Yeah, that's good. 3rd of February and the time.
5.
Yeah, okay. So we've coordinated our attack now. So we know the current time, so now we can coordinate when we want to attack all the humans. Just for curiosity, I will show you guys the other options. Okay, so that was short, medium, so slightly longer, February 3rd, 2015. We died again. We're not doing too good in our zombie trainer. Long. Ah, not so happy. Do. Yeah, really not happy. Wow. What were we getting exceptions on? Okay, well, whatever. And the last one. Do. Full. Wow. Very unhappy. Okay. So this is why you don't code with fonts this huge, because you can't read a single stack trace. Unable to extract value. Yeah, okay. So I guess we do not have a full date time. It's trying to get a temporal out. Do. That's cute. Okay, so I actually haven't tried those before. And apparently it's not happy right now. So we're gonna go with it, and we're gonna try to save our zombie friend using the short format. Okay, now we're back to happiness. Okay, so we have a slight problem, which is it's daytime right now. Well, it's daytime in our simulator, perhaps not outside, because it gets dark early here. So, since we don't like sunburn as zombies, we have to find a solution. So what tools do we have as zombies to work with? Are we good at building houses? No, probably not. We have claws we can dig. So we're gonna attempt to dig holes, and we're gonna take advantage of some of the utility methods on the date and time APIs to figure out what time it is, and then based upon that, figure out whether we should dig our little hole and hide from the evil sun, or whether we should hang out and search for humans to eat, your friends. All right, so here's some examples. Is before, is after. You can use these to compare dates. Those are quite helpful, especially for what we're doing. You can also get specific information on years and specific information on time to get all of the little bits out of your date time object. So let's see, number 2. So we're gonna get the date, get the time, and then check if it's before 6 and after 9, or after 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., or 1900. And we'll consider that night, and then if it's night, we're going to dig a hole. So here's our sprite view class. This whole project is not much code. And we have a little underground flag here, and basically this is a JavaFX property that's being observed. And then when we are underground, it's going to attempt to change our pixel, so we get a little dirt sprite instead. And then vice versa, it's going to bury and unbury us in the ground. So let's see if that actually works. Okay, so we are nice and happy in our little hole, safe from the sun. No more game over. But I think we're not going to be able to eat villagers like this. Okay, so let's add some villagers actually to the program, because we need some of your friends. Do you know any of these guys, Daniel?
Yeah, Brian and Sarah.
Brian and Sarah, those are your friends? Yeah. Okay, well they better watch out. As soon as we get out of our hall, we're going to take care of them. But unfortunately, we're trapped in a hall. Okay, well, this might take a while. What time is it now? 5:35, and 7 o'clock is when it becomes night in our program. You guys in a rush? Okay, so maybe we can do better. What?
We're in Sweden.
We're in Sweden. Well, okay, so we successfully hid, and then we got our villagers. And we're getting stepped on. But maybe we can trick the system into thinking we're not in Sweden. So where is it actually nighttime right now?
It's dark outside.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, so in the simplified world where night starts at 7 p.m., maybe Moscow, Russia? Okay, we have some people from Russia here. Where was your hometown again? You told me earlier. Yuzhis. You know the time zone code for your hometown? Europe, Moscow? Okay, let's give it a try. Oh, so they changed time zones for your city then? Okay. All right, so we'll give this a try. Is that right? Oh, I see it. Why don't you? That better? Yeah, okay. Europe, Moscow look good? And, okay, we'll comment that guy for now. And let's see how we're doing. Okay, so it's nighttime and we're out. Oh, you guys are hiding from us now. Oh, you warned them. You warned Sarah and Brian. How about the others? Them as well? Okay, so I think we just need to attack. What do you think? Time to raid the church? Yeah, okay. So, now you're in trouble now. Are you scared?
Petrified.
Petrified, yeah. Uh-oh. Did you guys have like spears or flaming torches? You warned them, didn't you? You know our weaknesses now. Yeah. Okay, so we need a better plan. This is not working. Those humans, they've figured out how to hide from us. All right, so here's some example of how to actually set up time zones. So we did Europe, Moscow. You can do any of the standard time zones. There's a bunch of short IDs you can use, zone ID.short IDs, and that allows you to use the 3-letter codes. If you want to pull those out, it's a map which returns back the full strings for each of the short codes. Although the long ones I think are more precise. And you can specify exact offsets if you want to specify a numeric offset. Yeah, and then you can also use the zone IDs and any of the other APIs. So once you get a time zone, you can pass it into the other classes and then start applying that zone ID to your other code. So that's all good stuff. This made a lot of sense in San Francisco when I gave this talk at JavaOne, but Moscow is a much better choice. And of course, we're going to use a full clock. We are going to show an example of why we're using a clock in a second, but in general, when you're using the date and time APIs, it's good to abstract things out by using a clock and then using that wherever you're using date and time references, and it makes your code more unit testable. Okay, so we want your brains, and you evil humans are hiding from us in the church. So we are going to use a temporal adjuster to fix this problem. Because do you know what's special? Oh, I did it again. Do you know what's special about Friday the 13th? So Friday the 13th, well, they're unlucky days, unlucky for you humans. And only on Friday the 13th, our friends, the ghouls, will come out of the tombstones and help us out to attack you. And it's not Friday the 13th right now. I think we're out of luck. No, we're not out of luck. Why is he there? Okay, that's a program bug. Let's take a quick look at Mr. Tombstone. Was it Tombstone? Okay, so if villager is zombie, yes, and day of week equals Friday, and day of month equals 13, then we get a new ghoul, right? And otherwise we shouldn't. And this is local date.now. Oh, on the current clock we passed in pixelated clock.getClock. Okay, so let's do some good old-fashioned debugging. You guys can help me out here if you see anything obvious. All right, are we a zombie? Hopefully. Is it a Friday? And is it the 13th? Oh, well that needs parentheses. See now, IntelliJ should have known that. All right, let's go to Tombstone and see what's in our logic is wrong. Doop. They're all true. That explains why it's working. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah, okay. So, the reason it's working is because we're actually executing the code that you saw on the slide indirectly before I actually, yeah, so if we look at this method where it's getting the clock, it's returning back our Friday the 13th. Clock, even though we haven't actually set it for the date in the code. So if we simply set this to a normal clock, like system default zone, then we should get the right results. Okay, so rolling back 5 minutes, and then we hop on the Tombstone. Thank you for helping me debug that. Oh, no ghouls. Urgh. Okay, so how can we make it Friday the 13th? So we're going to use a... Fortunately, today is not Friday the 13th. Otherwise, this wouldn't work at all. So we are going to use a temporal adjuster. You can do a bunch of cool stuff with the built-in temporal adjusters. So it's very easy to, like, for example, get the first day of the week, the first day of the month, the last, like, Wednesday of the month, those sort of things. And you just use simple methods on the temporal adjusters. There's static methods on the temporal adjusters class for the common cases. But if you want to do something more complicated, then you're better off using a custom adjuster that actually matches your business logic. So this is a quick pass at a Friday the 13th temporal adjuster. It's slightly more complicated than it looks. Or it's slightly less complicated than it looks. The bottom half is simply going through a loop and checking if it's, what does it check for? It checks if it's Friday, and then it increments by the month. So it's checking if the 13th is a Friday for each month going forward. But you have to handle the case for the current month, whether we before or after Friday the 13th. So, you know, if this was like the 12th of the month, then you'd actually check this month. If this was the 14th, you wouldn't want to check this month because you've already passed that date. So other than that, the algorithm is fairly simple, and then it returns back a temporal for the actual date we want to return, which is the next Friday the 13th. And then just like we mucked with the time zone, we can muck with the date we're using. And this is also, earlier I mentioned that you should use clocks wherever you have in your APIs. So if we consistently call this get clock code everywhere, then what's going to happen is all of the code in our entire system will believe this is the correct time based on whatever we set it to. And you can do a lot of cool effects like this when you're unit testing. So you could have unit test suites which simply set the time to failure conditions or edge conditions that you want to check in your code, and then quickly check those without breaking your actual production logic. So we should have been changing the time here before, but we will now. We're going to set this to be the Friday the 13th clock. And I'll show you another cool clock as well once we get this one happy and working. Stay safe underground is Friday the 13th. Now this will set it so that we're actually using the clock defined here. So it's now getting the clock and passing that into local datetime.now. And this will sync up both the clock and also our system's belief that it's Friday the 13th. And hopefully, so now it says February 13th, 2015. We will go pick up our friends. One goal. Getting scared yet? Yeah. Well, now we got Brian and Sarah covered. We're going to get an army of ghouls. Okay, what do you think? One more for good luck? Yeah, we don't want to be outnumbered by you guys. Okay. Now we outnumber your guys in the church. You're in big trouble. Yeah, no, the ghouls and the zombies, we get along, but we're all slow. And we all follow in straight lines. Okay, so we have successfully killed the humans. Yeah! All right, so just for fun, I'm going to show you another little date time adjuster that I built in, actually a different clock. So you can hack the clock implementation and do different cool effects. And think of any questions you'd like to ask. I'll take questions after this. Oh, and we have to decide what to do with this guy in front here.
I'm a zombie now.
What?
I'm a zombie now.
You're a zombie now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We're infectious. Oh, okay. You're welcome now. You're part of the crew. Yeah, very good. Okay, so So one of the other ones which I have, which is fun, is a multiplier clock. So we're going to switch this guy to a multiplier clock. And this is something else which is good for unit tests. So you can hack your own clock implementations and simply override the instant method to have it return different things. So what this clock does is it takes in a base clock, which is going to be what we want to adjust relative to. So we're just going to pass in the current clock for this. And then it's going to have a multiplier, which it multiplies the base by to speed up or slow down time. And then when it gets called with the instant method, it'll get the current instance, figure out the difference using the date and time APIs between the time it was created and the current time, and then multiply that and then add that to the current time. So this will hopefully give us like the aspect of lightning fast. This is another good tool. We can like move super fast once we speed up time appropriately and get those humans back. Okay, and then what's a good multiplier we should use? I think let's start with something reasonable. We'll do maybe 8. Let's see what happens. Okay, so apparently it works on humans too. Those guys are going really fast. And you should see the clock up on top is ticking at a much faster rate. So just for kicks, we will make that, well, higher. What's that, 60 times? We'll make it every minute is 1 hour. Yeah, now we're going really fast. And you can see the time ticking up. And the other thing we should be able to do with this is if we make it big enough, we should see night and day shifting quickly as well. Okay, our poor little simulator's hurting now. Okay, now we're in nighttime, and we should be able to fly just like, yeah, now we go really fast. Although it's the wrong day. Oops. All right, we're dead. Okay, so another thing you gotta have fun with the multiplier clock or defining your own clock. Like again, this would be a nice one for unit test scenarios if you wanted to put in a clock which did some fancy values to test different failure cases. Going backwards in time, that would be a good one. Okay, and this is a great time to ask questions. So, we code for brains. Thank you all for being very helpful zombies in defeating or assimilating the humans. And more information you can find on my blog, or also, you know, night hacking. We're gonna have a fun time with the party tonight, showing old stuff. So, thank you for coming. Who would like to ask the first question? Okay, nobody. You guys just want to get to the party. Yeah, in the red shirt.
Why would you use zoned date time instead of local date time?
Use,
Zoned.
zoned date time. What?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, okay. So the question is when you would use zoned date time instead of regular date time. Okay, so if I remember this correctly, I think the zoned date time combines together like a time zone and the time together. Okay, so I think I used to know when the use case for using that was, but I am blanking now. Let me take a quick look at what the return value of my guy was when we did the zoning. Okay, so we did local time and we got a zone ID. This is what I get for not playing with the date and time API since Java 1. Okay. So it looks like, according to the Java docs, they say the zone offset to handle ambiguous local date times. Okay, and they give a funky example with a weird date time in the European Paris time zone that's ambiguous. All right, so offhand, I'm going to get the answer wrong. But it seems like it has to do with special cases where you have ambiguous date times, where you want to use a zone date time. So if anyone in the audience has a better answer, feel free to chime in. But I will defer that question rather than give you an incorrect or partially correct answer. But good question. All right, anyone else want to ask a question and stump the presenter? You get points actually. I'm going to give you a sticker later on.
What would be the easiest way to get the system current time millis up to the new?
Okay. The easiest way to get system current time milliseconds with the new system. So you just want to get the time since the epoch. I think that's just getting an instance from the epoch. Let's check the instant class and see what's on there. Because instant is essentially the same thing. Let's see. Let's get our clock. Let's go to this guy. Yeah, so I think you just want to get here we go. Get nanoseconds, get milliseconds. So I think if you get an instant and you just get the epoch milli off of it, number of milliseconds since the epoch, that should give you the equivalent of what you were doing with system dot time for milliseconds. All right, so both good questions. And last question in the black shirt.
Yeah, what's the state of this JSR? Is it?
It's done. It is released with Java 8. So this is something, if you're on Java 8, like a bunch of the folks I talked to at the beginning, you can start using it today. All right, so thank you all for coming to the Zombie Daytime presentation. And gentlemen in the red, come up and claim your prize.